Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo says the Department of Justice and the Office of the Solicitor General are studying possible cases against Senator Antonio Trillanes IV over his alleged destabilization efforts against the Duterte administration. Panelo made the statement in a reaction to the report that Trillanes and others believed linked to the destabilization plot can be charged with inciting to sedition. According to Panelo, the public statements of Trillanes against the Duterte administration can be used against the senator.
You know, when you incite people to hate a particular public official, that's inciting to sedition without going through the requirements of sedition where there is an armed uprising against the government. But if you keep on repeating the same allegations like he's a murderer, is corrupt, without even presenting evidence, I don't think you're doing that as a public service. Because if it is a public service, then what you should do is to file a case, not just besmirch the reputation of a particular public official. That's going against, that's beyond the mantle of freedom of expression.
Posibleng maharap sa kasong inciting to sedition si Senator Antonio Trillanes. Irinayag ni Presidential Chief Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo kaugnay ng hayagang akusasyon ni Trillanes laban kay Pangulong Duterte. Niliwanag ni Panelo na ang mga pahayag ni Trillanes sa publiko laban sa administrasyon ay malinaw na ebidensya ng planong destabilization at dahil dyan pinag-aaralan na ng Department of Justice at Office of the Solicitor General ang pagsasampa ng kaso laban sa senador. Ayon kay Attorney Panelo, pwedeng gawin ito ng gobyerno upang imulat sa mga nagpaplano ng destabilization na hindi matuwid ang kanilang pagkilos sa halip na makipagtulungan sa pagsusulong ng kapakanan ng bansa at ng sambayanan.
You know, when you incite people to hate a particular public official, that's inciting to sedition without going through the requirements of sedition where there is an armed uprising against the government. But if you keep on repeating the same allegations like he's a murderer, is corrupt, without even presenting evidence, I don't think you're doing that as a public service. Because if it is a public service, then what you should do is to file a case, not just besmirch the reputation of a particular public official. That's going against, that's beyond the mantle of freedom of expression.
Sa iba pang balita, posibleng maharap sa kasong inciting to sedition si Senador Antonio Trillanes IV. Ito ang inihayag ni Presidential Chief Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo kaugnay ng mga bintang ni Trillanes sa publiko laban sa Duterte administration. Ayon kay Panelo, ang akusasyon ni Trillanes ay malinaw na ebidensya ng planong destabilisasyon. Excuse me. Kasabay nito, pinag-aaralan na ng Department of Justice at ng Office of the Solicitor General ang pagsasampa ng kaso laban sa senador.
Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo says the Department of Justice and the Office of the Solicitor General are studying possible cases against Senator Antonio Trillanes IV over his alleged destabilization efforts against the Duterte administration. Panelo made the statement in a reaction to the report that Trillanes and others believed linked to the destabilization plot can be charged with inciting to sedition. According to Panelo, the public statements of Trillanes against the Duterte administration can be used against the senator.
You know, when you incite people to hate a particular public official, that's inciting to sedition without going through the requirements of sedition where there is an armed uprising against the government. But if you keep on repeating the same allegations like he's a murderer, is corrupt, without even presenting evidence, I don't think you're doing that as a public service. Because if it is a public service, then what you should do is to file a case, not just besmirch the reputation of a particular public official. That's going against, that's beyond the mantle of freedom of expression.
Well, ang una, ang main conclusion is premeditated yung murder, no? And may mga recommendations, of course, may mga proposed legislation. Yung iba, pending na rin sa committee, yung mga bills.
Sir, ano yung main point bakit bring natin kasi
Based on the testimonies na narinig natin sa committee hearings at saka based dun sa mismong findings ng NBI nung nag-hold kami ng executive session.
na may mga siguro po yung mas individuals na sinasabi ko na gusto siyang patanong na may access sa
Yun, yung mga personalities involved, yung basically, yung CIDG 8, dahil yung kanila mismong deponent, NBI ang nakadiscover nito, yung investigators nila, na si Paul Olendan, yung deponent na sinasabing, yung naging basis na pag-issue ng search warrant, na naandun siya mismo at nakita niya yung mga firearms sa loob ng selda. It turned out, he was at least 100 kilometers away at the time that he claimed having seen the firearms.
Sir, were you disappointed when, for example, October 15, when General Bato relieved Marcos and his men, November 5, they could have, easily...
Kasama sa recommendation namin yun, na dapat yung mga day-to-day operation ng PNP, like administrative action being taken by the chief or any field commander for that matter, dapat hindi mina-micromanage ng commander-in-chief. Kung natuloy yung relief nina Marcos et al., hindi siguro namatay yung dalawa sa loob ng selda, hindi ba? Yun lang ang isang logical conclusion kasi na-relieve na, but on the same day, General De La Rosa was instructed to reinstate them. Kaya nabalik ulit sa position. Di ba, nirelieve dahil merong possible serious misdemeanor. Dahil merong advance party na nag-debrief kay Kerwin Espinosa at ang sinasabi na napangalanan sina Marcos na nakakatanggap o dating nakakatanggap kay Kerwin. So yun ang naging reason ng relief. Sa kasamaang palad, pina-reinstate. So nagkaroon ng pagkakataon ng opportunity para mag-apply ng search warrant at para mapatay.
So, paano nagkaroon ng walang credibility yung Olendan or hindi nag-i-exist yung testimony?
Hindi. Kasi importante yun. Kasi kung wala yung deposition ng main witness na si Olendan, dahil wala nga siya doon, kasi doon nag-rely yung judge na nakita niya mismo yung firearms sa loob ng selda. When in fact, he was nowhere near the cell in Baybay. Kasi nandun siya sa Tacloban, nagtatrabaho. So, napaka-material nun.
So, walang weight dapat na nangyari.
At siyempre, hindi ma-approve yung search warrant. Kaya nga, meron ding reminder may pakiusap din sa Supreme Court na kung pwedeng yung mga huwes ma-advisean na tingnan mabuti, examine mabuti yung mga witnesses, yung mga deponents.
Dapat pananagutan ng mga judge na nag-issue ng warrant?
It's up to the Supreme Court. Kami, we're just requesting the Supreme Court kung pwedeng tingnan. And as a matter of fact, they already are looking into possible administrative liability of the judge. Yun, dapat din pagtuunan ng pansin sa legislation yun, yung planting of evidence, yung perjury. Naalala ko kasi when we check our records, meron din pala ako na-file na bill increasing the penalty for perjury. Ngayon, nakaschedule.
So, yung this time, yung finding ng DOJ na nababagal ang makulog sa ano nila?
Medyo mabagal. Kasi nauna pa yung nangyari sa Albuera, Mayor, kesa doon sa Clark, GEQ. Pero resolved na yung kay GEQ, kaya lang nagkaroon ng investigation, pero nasa korte na. Yung kay Espinosa, nangyari even before yung sana, pero hindi pa na-resolve hanggang ngayon. Considering the presence of overwhelming evidence, dapat by this time, may resolution na yung DOJ. Bakit nagtatagal?
Sir, can you explain lang kung bakit tingin mo may kinalaman sa stabilization ng mga statement nila Cañas?
Hindi yung statement nila Cañas, yung parang combination of so many acts, yung pag-turn around nila Cañas, and then yung sunod-sunod, di ba? he was hopping sa mga TV stations, radio stations. So ano yung audience? Hindi lang yung, at saka sinabi rin naman ni Senator Trillanes during the hearing na nung tinatanong niya si Las Cañas na hindi lang naman yung mga senador ang dapat makarinig kung hindi yung sambayan ng Pilipino. Something to that effect, I cannot quote him verbatim, pero ganun ang essence ng kanyang pagtatanong. So they're actually eyeing a bigger audience, not just yung sa loob ng Pilipinas, kundi pati international community. Kaya nga, malaki na yung pakikialam ng, hindi natin sinisisi, no? Pero ang sinasabi ko, I'm just stating the fact based on my own analysis. Kasi, sabi ko nga, galing na rin ako dyan eh. Naging part na rin ako ng destabilization during the past administration, not under the under President Aquino, before that, ano? And I know a destabilization activity when I see one. So yun ang naging basihan kung bakit parang this looks or this sounds familiar. Ano bang aim? Bakit porsigidong ipalabas o maprolong pa, ma-extend pa yung hearing? Isa lang naman to bring down the administration. And to me, it is not bad. It's normal when you feel that an administration is failing the Filipino people. I think it's incumbent upon us, being public officials ourselves, and even a common Filipino, ordinary Filipino, na gumawa rin na hakbang para hindi naman mapabagsak sa illegal na pamamaraan, kasi meron namang constitutional na pamamaraan para maialis mo yung isang Pangulo na sa tingin mo hindi sumasang-ayon sa konstitusyon. Well, admittedly, siya naman yung handler Sinabi naman. And of course, sa kanya nag-report, and the other handlers, which, who hindi naman natin kilala lahat kung sino nag-handle sa kanya. But the mere act alone of going from one media outlet to another, and as I was observing, pag may hearing, napakaraming international media na nagko-cover, which is quite unusual kasi marami rin naman tayong hearings na ginagawa rito. Wala naman tayo nakikita masyadong international media. Diba? Well, that's the beauty of democracy. While the President has full trust and confidence, as he said, as he announced, doon sa isang appointee, but kung sa pananaw naman ng Commission on Appointments, being a constitutional body, nagpo-fall short yung appointee or nominee doon sinatatawag na fitness and qualification and competence, of course. Decision yun, kasi yun ang check and balance Hindi naman porket gusto ng Pangulo, susunod yung lahat ng miyembro ng Commission on Appointments.
But it was not effective meeting, sir, na hayagan yung suporta ng Pangulo?
No, it will not. Because sabi ko nga, independent naman yung Commission on Appointments. At sa kaso nga ni Secretary Yasay, alam naman ng lahat na malapit siya sa Pangulo, pero unanimous yung naging decision na i-reject siya. So, it won't affect us.
Sir, wala na po si Sec Gina, no?
Tuloy pa po bukas sa executive session?
Yung executive session sa committee level, tuloy yun because we will deliberate. We will even decide if we will vote at the committee level or not. But yung plenary, hindi namin gagawin kasi wala siya rito. Kung nandito siya, tuloy sa plenary yun. Madidesisyon na whether to confirm or reject. Hindi pa effective. Wala naman retroactive effect yung amendment ng rules. In fact, 15 days after publication, bago pa talaga magte-take effect yun. Yung 3 bypass rule. So everybody is deemed to have 0 bypass as of now. Hanggang hindi pa nagte-take effect yung rule. Magte-take effect lang yung rule, sisimulan magbilang ng bypass pag naging effective na yung amendment. Or, deferred. Pag deferred, bypass yun. Confirm or reject at the committee level. Kasi pwede namang sa committee ma-reject siya, pero pagdating sa plenaryo, pwede siyang ma-overturn ng plenary o yung commission proper yung recommendation ng committee kasi recommendatory lang.
So yung sa destabilization, sino po yung nakikita ninyo?
Hindi. At sinasabi ko lang yung parang yung congruence, yung mga events na nangyayari, maliwanag naman na may destabilization sa administration. And sabi ko nga, we're not blaming them kasi I've been there before. Hindi ko naman tinatanggi na naging part din ako ng destabilization plot eh. Ba't natin ipag-deny pa kung malinaw naman? Alam mo sa amin, sa probinsya, may kasabihan na, di ba, yung, sabi natin ostrich, di ba, nakasubsub yung ulo, kita naman yung buntot.
Sir,
Sabi ni Senator Trillanes is just exposing the truth.
Well, pero ano yung goal? Just the truth? Come on. No, we were not born yesterday. All of a sudden, ang goal mo lang is to just expose the truth. For what reason? For what purpose? And what is the objective? Sabi ko, sabi niya mga kasama natin, pag may majority sa floor na nagsabing i-reopen, I cannot do otherwise. Di ba, tinatanong niya lang. Sabi ko, wala ka kasi, hindi ka nag-object eh. Kung nandun siya sa committee, nag-object siya, nagkabutuhan kami. Okay?
Sir, you mentioned na you've been there. So may regret ba? Dapat ba hindi nang makiamin sila nagpa-plan?
Hindi nga natin sila sinisisi. Kasi kung inakala nila na hindi nagdi-deliver o kaya nagbabiolate ng constitution yung isang Pangulo, karapatan naman nila na gumanahakbang para mapaalis yung Pangulo na yon sa pamamagitan ng constitutional means. Diba? Hindi naman yung bring down an administration by force or violence.
So you been during the time of June?
Kasama kami nun eh.
Saka naman na siya.
Kasama kami kay Jimmy. Majority. Pwede na. Wala.
Kasama kayo. Ay, ayan na siya.
Kaya alam ko pag nag-deliver.
Ayun lang yan.
Sabi niyo, pag magkasama sila. Ang may papayo ko lamang kay SPO3 Las Cañas, marapat lamang na maliban sa iyong salaysay, may maipakita ka pang bukod at ibang ebidensya. Kung wala, ay maaaring masayang lamang ang oras ng mga tao dito dahil baka walang kahinatnan ang isinasagawa nating pagdinig sa araw na ito laban sa sino mang mga taong idinadawit mo. Idagdag pa natin ng extrajudicial confession ni retired SPO3 Las Cañas ay hindi niya ginawa habang nagaganap ang di umano'y conspiracy na kanya rin binanggit sa kanyang sinumpaang salaysay na lumiban at tumaliwas sa nauna na niyang pinahayag sa isa pang komite ng Senado noong ika-3 na Oktubre taong 2016.
Minention, makalipas na 1 linggo, binigyan ako ng listahan ng mga wanted na tao na aking papatayin. Nakalagay doon ang pangalan at tirahan ng mga taong papatayin ko, inaabot at dinidistribute ang listahan sa akin at maging sa aking mga kasamahan ng aming pinakapinuno sa samahan. Minsan ay mismo si Mayor Duterte ang pumupunta sa safe house at nag-aabot ng listahan tapos sambitin, ito ang listahan ng mga tarantado. Ilang beses ko na personal nakita at nakausap si Duterte. Halos bawat linggo ay pumupunta siya sa safe house para mangamusta. Ganito rin ang pattern na nangyari ngayon. Merong listahan ng mga pinapatay. Sa pagpatuloy ng kanyang salaysay, minsan noong 1993, may isa kaming lakad na kasama si Mayor Duterte. Kami ng kanyang mga kasamaan ang dapat tumira, ngunit nagkamali kami. Hinabol niya mismo yung tao na isang hold-upper at sa kanya ito ipinagbabaril. Naubos niya ang isang magasin noon. Matapos yon, natakot ang mga pulis at nakita kung paano magalit si Mayor. Ito po ang sworn statement ni Ernesto Abasola. Nasaksihan ko ang pagpatay 6 na kalalakihan na nakapiring ang mga mata at may tali ang mga kamay at paa noong bandang alas 9 ng gabi sa ikatlong linggo ng December 2005. Isa ako sa naglibing ayon sa utos ni Tatay Laud sa mga katawan ng biktima ng 3 kuweba matapos itong patayin ng 6 na miyembro ng Anti-Crime Unit ng Davao City Office. Ito po yung Anti-Crime Unit na minimension ni Arthur Las Cañas sa kanyang salaysay. Na nakilala ko lamang alias Pedro at alias Mario, ang dalawa sa 6 na biktima, at 2 ito ay inilibing namin sa unang kuweba na malapit sa bahay ni Tatay Laud. Samantalang iyong 2 ay sunod na kuweba at natirang 2 ay sa pangatlong kuweba. Na dinala ko si Colonel Fajardo at kanyang mga kasamahang pulis na nasabing mga kuweba at doon ay nakita namin sa huli at ikatlong kuweba mula sa bahay ni Tatay Laud ang isang nakausling buto na ayon sa mga pulis na isang doktor ay buto ng isang tao. Ito pong Tatay Laud, ito po ay may-ari ng tinatawag nilang Maa Quarry or Laud Quarry or Laud Compound na kung saan ito yung tinatambakan ng mga sinalvage nila na mga tao. Ito naman ang sworn statement of Police Superintendent Roberto B. Fajardo. On July 5, 2009, in the course of serving the writ docketed under search warrant 0914-347 earlier issued by the Honorable Court, I was approached by a male person who identified himself as Mr. Ernesto Abasola, 51 years old, married, and resident of relocation site Barangay Mintal, Davao City, and confided to me that he is an asset of Bienvenido Laud, Tatay Laud, alias Tatay Laud, the owner of the premises subject of the search warrant. Mr. Abasola offered information that human remains of summarily executed victims could be found inside 3 adjacent caves located a few meters away beside the makeshift house of alias Tatay Laud at Laud Compound. Hence, I and other policemen went to the caves and found out that a bone is protruding from one of the caves in the plain view. The accompanying SOCO operative, a doctor of medicine, checked it and positively concluded that it was a human bone. Though it is in plain view, however, I and other policemen suspect that more of such kinds are still in that hole/cave and in other adjoining caves. Ito po yung picture ng mga buto na na-recover nila doon po sa Laud Compound. Human bones po ito. Ito naman po yung urgent motion to quash and to suppress illegally seized evidence na ipinail sa korte ni Laud. Dito nyo makikita na People of the Philippines versus Fulgencio Pabo, Bienvenido Laud, Bilbencio Jumawan, Dawilag. Ito yung Dawilag brothers na sinasabi ni Matubato at ni Las Cañas. The same people. Ngayon, tignan nyo kung sino yung abogado. Ang abogado ni Bienvenido Laud nung mga panahon na yon, nung nag-file sila ng motion to quash and suppress illegal use of evidence, ay si Vitaliano Aguirre na ngayong Defense Secretary na ating bansa. Justice Secretary pala. I'm sorry. So, nung 2009, sa maliwanag ang mga koneksyon. Ito naman ang Supreme Court decision regarding that search warrant. Deciding on the petition by Bienvenido Laud, the Supreme Court upheld the validity of the search warrant, therefore valid yung mga nakuhang ebidensya doon sa Laud Compound. So meron ka ng dead bodies, may human remains ka na, meron ka ng ebidensya doon mismo sa mga lugar kung saan sinabi ni Edgar Matubato at ni Las Cañas. Ito ngayon ang isa pang ebidensya. noong 1997 po ito itong Commission on Human Rights Resolution na tungkol dito sa case ni June Bersabal. Lumalabas dito na case of Gaudencio Bersabal, Lucina Bersabal complainants versus Fulgencio Pabo, Arturo Las Cañas, Edgar Matobato, open close parenthesis, CAFGU, Police Senior Inspector Mitra. Ito yung mga taong minimension niya at kasama silang dalawa, si Las Cañas at si Matobato. So talagang hindi pala talaga ito standby lang sa opisina ni Mayor Duterte. Talagang as early as 1997 magkasama silang dalawa at in fact nakasuhan sila. At ito ang interesting dito sa resolution na ito. On paragraph D, and I quote, the victim meaning June Bersabal, was brought to Kaputian Police Station where the arrest was officially recorded on June 28, 1997. On June 29, 1997, 0500, custody over the person of June Bersabal was then transferred to Governor Generoso Municipal Police Station in Davao Oriental on the basis of a warrant of arrest for frustrated murder issued in criminal case number 3663 by Municipal Trial Court of Governor Generoso, Davao Oriental. On 10 June 1997, the victim reportedly escaped from Governor Generoso Municipal Station by destroying the padlock in the prison cell. Subsequently, the dead body of June Bersabal was found along the seashore of Pantukan, Davao del Norte. Ito yung sinasabi ni Arthur Las Cañas na tinurn over nila sa pulis. Kaso ngayon, nung gustong ipapatay ni Mayor Duterte, sinabi nila paano nila palalabasin ngayon dahil naka-blatter na. So ngayon, gumawa sila ng senaryo na kunyari tumakas at sa kanila pinatay. So eksakto as recorded here in this resolution written 20 years ago. Next, corroborating evidence. Even the Ombudsman have penalized 21 PNP officers over the Davao Death Squad. So, ito, nung March 29, si Ombudsman Morales penalized 21 police officers over the Davao Death Squad. Next. So, dito po sa itong mga ilang dokumento, dated July 2001, Special Anti-Crime Response Unit, makikita natin itong mga personalities, Fulgencio Pabo, Arthur Las Cañas, Jim Tan, Ronald Lau, at Enrique Lau Jr. So itong mga ito yung mga mini-mention. So katibayan muli na sila ay talagang magkakasama, and it corroborates the testimony of Mr. Las Cañas. Ito pa, si Pagidupon, SPO2 Pagidupon, Ronald Lau. Sige, next slide. Ito pa, Special Orders number 54 ng Philippine National Police, July 30, 2001. So, ang unit nito, Special Operation and Reaction Team. So, ang mga members dito, sila Fulgencio Pabo, sila Reynaldo Capote, Arthur Las Cañas, Jim Tan, Bobong Aquino, si Jumawan, si Ronald Lau, the same people. So, again, isang katibayan to reinforce the statements of Arthur Las Cañas. Dito naman sa Davao City Police Office, Special Operations and anyway, hindi ko mabasa. So Fulgencio Pabo, sila Reynaldo Capote, again, sila ang mga members. Ngayon po, having presented independent corroborative evidence, dito natin makikita kung gaano kaimportante ang mga testimonya ni Las Cañas at ni Matobato. Dito sila, Las Cañas in particular, nagsimula siya sa paniniwala na tama ang kanyang ginagawa, na ang kriminal ay walang karapatang mabuhay. Pero kinalaunan, ginamit nila ang kanilang skill ng pagpatay at pinagkakitaan ito ng pagpatay ng mga inosenteng mga tao. Ito rin po sa salaysay nila lumalabas ang template ng DDS na ngayon ay ginagawa sa ating bansa bilang Philippine Death Squads. So ang mabigat na tanong dito, ilang Las Cañas na ang meron sa ating mga pulis ngayon na ginagamit yung kanilang paniniwala sa war on drugs ni President Duterte na nagsanga-sanga na at sa pagpatay ng mga personal na kaaway sa negosyo, kaaway sa politika. Ngayon, ito pong war on drugs na ito, buong mundo na ang nakakapansin. Meron pong report ang US Department of State, and I read, and I quote, "Killings allegedly undertaken by vigilantes, security forces, and insurgents as the principal human rights abuse documented this year." And it also chronicles apparent governmental disregard for human rights and due process and a very weak and overburdened criminal justice system. Dito naman, ang Al Jazeera news agency nag-report din, Philippines inside Duterte's killer drug war. And I quote, "Sometimes the heads of those killed are found in duct tape, often bodies are strewn with cardboard signs with slogans reading, 'I am a drug pusher, don't be like me.'" Ang Human Rights Watch, gumawa rin ng report, "License to Kill, Philippine Police Killings in Duterte's War on Drugs." And I quote, "Duterte's repeated calls for killings as part of his anti-drug campaign could not constitute acts instigating law enforcement to commit the crime of murder." Ang Amnesty International, gumawa ng report, "Philippines, the police's murderous war on the poor." And I quote, "This is not a war on drugs, but a war on the poor. Often, on the flimsiest of evidence, people accused of using or selling drugs are being killed for cash in an economy of murder," said Mr. Tirana Hassan, Amnesty International's Crisis Response Director. Another quote, "If you are poor, you are killed." CNN International made a report, "City of the Dead, a neighborhood destroyed by Duterte's war on drugs." And I quote, "As innocent people are increasingly caught in the crossfire, a growing number of Filipinos are questioning the true cost of the leader's crusade." Finally, the New York Times reported, "They are slaughtering us like animals." And I quote, "What I experienced in the Philippines felt like a new level of ruthlessness. Police officers summarily shooting anyone suspected of dealing or even using drugs. Vigilantes taking seriously Mr. Duterte's call to slaughter them all." Kita na po ng buong mundo ang mga patayan sa ating bansa. 8,000 na po ang mga namatay na tao. Mga totoong tao sila. Walang drug lords po dito. Puro mahirap sila. Hindi po personal sa akin ito. Siguro I may be perceived to be passionate about my job, pero siguro hindi ko lang kayang magbulag-bulagan pa. Kaya panawagan ko lang po sa mga kapwa ko senador, ipaglaban natin po sila protektahan natin sila. Salamat po.
Where's the majority leader? Majority leader.
Sa EDSA People Power Revolution anniversary, yung paglalabas ng witnesses pa isa-isa, nakita nyo naman sa mismong testimony ni Mr. Las Cañas that sa unang paragraph pa lang o unang pahina pa lang ng kanyang affidavit, nung sinabi niyang 1998, umpisa pa lang ng DDS nandun na siya, 1989 na siya sumama eh. So it's obvious that there are people behind Las Cañas, there are people who are trying to manipulate this situation for two purposes, no? One, the ouster of the president. Number two, to stop the drug war. Kaya nga nabanggit ko kanina na yung Human Rights Watch, meron din advocacy at agenda yan. Sa mismong report nila ay sinabi nila na gusto nilang illegalize ang stand nila, dapat pagka for personal use yung possession ng droga, legal dapat ito. No? So we have to be careful sa paghihimay ng mga issue. Kailangan ba na mas mabantayan ng mga pulis? Yes. Kailangan ba na mas mataas na sweldo, equipment, gamit ang pulis? Yes. Kailangan ba na less ang violence? Yes. No? But it doesn't mean that meron state-sponsored extrajudicial killings.
How would you describe the testimony? Flop ba or
scripted and si Mr. Las Cañas mismo nagsabi na siya mismo magdududa siya sa sarili niya, no? As it is, no? Pero kapag tinignan mo and makikita mo sa testimonya niya, no? He's a mercenary. Dati na siyang pumapatay kahit wala pa siya dun sa Davao, no? He was already involved in killings at inamin niya, nung bata siya, mahilig siyang pumatay. So makikita mo that some of his testimony might be true, half-truths, pero meron overreaching effort na idamay ang Pangulo at idamay ang administrasyon. Kaya nga nasita ko rin na bakit i-judge niya yung buong kampanya ng Tukha ng PNP. Samantalang hindi naman niya alam kung anong mga operasyon na nagagawa ngayon. Kaya nasasabi kong nagagamit din siya ng mga ibang pseudo human rights groups at ibang mga political groups na nagtatago sa legitimate na human rights concerns.
Thank you.
What's your plan? Meron pa bang way out yung mga open? Meron pa bang option? At least dito?
Well, collegial body. The majority of the members will vote, assuming that there will be a manifestation or a motion, assuming at magbobotohan at mananalo at ibabalik, why not? But it's still the call of the majority.
Pero far-fetched lang mo sa
I don't know. Pero kung ako masusunod, unang-una, against na nga ako na buksan yan sa Committee ng Public Order kasi nanggaling nga sa Justice. Pero will abide by the wish of the majority.
Pero kaya na ng PNP, ano bang relevant agency sa labas ng Court?
Well, CHR, PNP. Oh.
Kaya na nila.
Dati, kung hindi nga nila kinaya ng Presidente nung mayor pa lang, I cannot see how they can do it now. Di ba noon, DOJ Secretary pa yung nag-iimbestiga, galing pa sa CHR. Bakit hindi na kaya? Ba't hindi na indict noon si Mayor Duterte? Ayan. Yun ang yun ang irony. Tapos ngayon kung kailang presidente, ngayon lang pinipilit na papanagutin. So is it really only for the purpose of making him criminally liable, or is there something else? Is this part of a destabilization effort?
But would you recommend na kasuhan sila?
Hindi na. Bahala na lang kung sino yung gustong magano. Sa akin lang, I reviewed my files. Meron pala akong bill sa perjury, increasing the penalty. And ang bill ko calls for a penalty that is commensurate or equal to the crime being imputed by the one committing the perjury. In this case, kung halimbawang kasi ang gusto niyang ang ini-impute niya death penalty or reclusion perpetua, so he should also be meted the penalty of reclusion perpetua kasi kung nagsucceed yung pagsisinungaling niya, pwedeng makulong habang buhay yung tao, and kung may death penalty at makover yung say murder, pwedeng ma-death penalty yung tao. So kailangan, you should commensurate. Yun ang bill ko eh. Tinignan ko nga kanina.
Para hindi basta-basta na...
At saka napaglalaroan Alam mo, sa Amerika nga, sabi ko, federal offense yan Sa atin, congressional inquiry. And hindi lang natin nare-realize yung impact nun, because we're investigating in aid of legislation. Kung mali-mali at kasinungalingan yung pinipresenta rito, mali yung legislation namin, which will affect millions or at least 100 million Filipinos. Diba? Yun ang impact.
Sa US federal offense talaga.
Federal offense. Basta perjury.
Meron mag-move tomorrow?
Wala. Sinabi ko lang kasi tinanong niya, what will it take? Ano mga options? Sabi ko, assuming nga may mag-move, mapagbutuhan at manalo yung motion na i-reopen, then I cannot do anything but to reopen.
Pero as it stands now, terminated?
Hindi, kasi merong nag-move to adjourn. And wala naman nag-object. I ask specifically any objection, wala naman. So, ang problema, wala naman si Senator Trillanes noong nagbobotohan. Kung nandiyan siya, nakapag-object sana siya, nakapagbotohan sana. Kung walang quorum, na-question sana yung quorum. Hindi sana na-resolve. So, in all probability, pwedeng nasuspend lang yun. Kasi,
so as it stands,
terminated.
Kailangan ba in plenary yung motion?
Kailangan
ba in plenary motion o within yung committee?
Hindi. Sa plenary. Kung magre-reopen.
Kasi yung committee nagsasara.
Nagsara na. Kung may magmamotion dito to reopen or to open another investigation similar, wala naman imposible. Basta nanalo yung majority, di babalik na naman.
Sir, tomorrow tatanong mo si Yase on sa citizenship.
Maraming tatanong Actually, ako gusto ko clarify kasi sabi ko nga, nakapag-research akong konti, pwede ka pala makakuha ng US passport without getting a certificate of citizenship. Meron tinatawag na yung natural born, yung iba, derivative citizen. Parang derived yung kanyang derived citizen, parang na-derive lang. Tinitingnan ko yung mga provisions Yung one case na nakikita ko, yung pinanganak doon na with of Filipino parentage, but since usually sila land o soil, pinanganak American citizen, but without first acquiring US citizenship, nakakakuha na agad ng passport. Sa mga tatlo apo ko doon pinanganak US passport kagad naka-eagle kagad
Sinasabi siya na parang disqualified himself.
Well, that's one issue. Kasi nga, assuming that he lied under oath, that's a grave offense.
He is free to give it away. Nasa?
Sino yun? Nakasa?
Tawag si Jay. Si Jay Ruiz.
Kala ko naka-microphone
Buti hindi kami...
Kala ko naka-microphone.
Kung in session tayo ron, ano na yun? Disruptive order na yun.
Criminal offense.
Buti na lang, hindi pa.
Sa house talaga?
Mostly, hindi ko alam kung bakit. Dito walang walang mukhang house ang
Senator Alan.
Pero ang sentiment, medyo vocal kasi yung yung house contingent sa nila sa mga positions nila. Kaya pag nagko-caucus, marinig mo na kung ano yung ang mahirap. They always vote as a block. So 12 ng 12 yun. Very seldom na mabawasan sila ng isa, mag-stray yung isa or dalawa. Ganun sila
Hindi ka tuloy siya.
Wala. Dito, independent republic. 24 republics.
Ganun din siguro.
Ganun din. Yung house din. Ganun din ang sasabitin niya sa house. Imagine kung 12 sila. May isang senador na lang kukunin nila.
So, nag-coach si Paul sa inyo?
Pero sa what's the use kasi bukas ng hearing. Sabi ko naman, mag-expand na lang sila doon sa mga issues. Address na lang ko. Kasi gusto nga. Totoo, yan yun. Yung lagi yung nagkakampanya na kung pwedeng kausapin.
So, yung timing ng amendment dun sa rules nila?
Hindi. Wala. Noon pa yung pinaplano. Kailangan at least one member. Hindi naman namin specify ano lang doon sinabi, executive session. Nasa 16th Congress din yun yung sa provisional appointments. Maski sinong member pwedeng mag-motion, mag-move na magkaroon ng botohan. Executive session, pwedeng viva voce, pwedeng nominal. Depende sa body. Ha?
DI, buhay.
Sumayaw sa'yo. Sabi ko nga, suggestion ko nga, magpa-video siya na sumasayaw, tapos may date para ma-disprove na patay siya.
Wala naman ni-name si Las Cañas, di ba? Meron ba?
Hindi, sinabi niya dance instructor.
Wala siyang name.
Ayun, dapat malaman, ilan ba yung dance instructor niya? Isa lang daw eh. Sabi nung pao ni Jocelyn.
Ay, sir, kung buhay, so papatawag ba niyo? Magre-resume yung...
Wala nang what for?
Eh sir, bakit si Bato? Minention siya ni maraming beses ni Las Cañas.
Yeah, pero we'll leave it up to the appropriate bodies or agencies. Huwag na yung Senate kasi, okay, binuksan niya rito, ang dami niya mga issues na ni-raise. Kami pa ba magpapalop mo? Kasi sir na lang magpalop. O kaya, DNP or NBI.
And sir, may another DDS member na mag-group si sir.
Let's see. Sabi ko, di ba yung jurisprudence, very clear naman eh. Kailangan yung extrajudicial confession mo, ginawa mo during the period na nagkakaroon ng conspiracy. Otherwise, afterthought eh. Yun ang sinabi ng Supreme Court ruling eh. Di ba yung pen by Justice Corona? Tatlo yun eh. Common object. Yung una nga, yung kailangan may independent. Ang pangatlo, kailangan during the period na.
Pero may mga, 2015 incident, yung pinakalas, di ba? Meron siyang minention.
Pero tapos na yung conspiracy, assuming that there was a conspiracy. Eh, sinabi
so dapat ongoing.
Ongoing yung conspiracy. Doon siya naggawa na ng niya, na, part ako ng conspiracy. Ang pwedeng tamaan lang dito siya eh. Yun din ang jurisprudence. Hindi ito binding do sa mga so-called co-conspirators. Pero siya pwede makasuhan because of self-admission. Sa kanya lang applicable yun. Yun yung sinagto yung Latin na res inter alios acta. Sa kanya lang mag-a-apply yung kanyang confession eh. So siya pwede makulong. Nanghihingi na ngayon DOJ ng transcript eh. Sulat sa NBI sa akin.
Para sa possible filing?
Yes. Nangihingi ng KSN, nangihingi ng affidavits sa committee. So, may pinaplano sila na to file charges against him, whatever charges.
Pero wala kang choice kung i-provide yung hinihingi nila.
May request sila eh.
DOJ yan, sir?
Hindi, NBI.
So sa report yung ilalabas sa media report, may recommendation nila to file virtually?
Probably, yes. Kasi nga, klaro naman nila, inadmit niya nga eh. Kasi yung case ng perjury, it is not for the committee or anybody to determine na nag-lie siya. Kaya nga tinanong ko siya, do you confirm that you lied? Sabi niya, opo. O di klaro. Kasi before you establish a case of perjury, hindi lang yung nagko-contradict yung statements. Kailangan ma-establish mo which of those two sworn statements are false or lies. Yun ang requirement eh. Kaya, well, whether intentionally or unintended, tinanong ko siya, do you confirm that you lied? Sabi niya, yes. E di mali nang may perjury, di ba? Usapan niya sa iyo.
Hindi mo ni-minute siya?
Nagkausap na kami last time eh.
Nasa office mo lang.
Mas solid ang problema nila doon. Kailangan i-trap nila yung house.
So bukas mangyari, hearing lang. Marami
May hearing, pero what if merong mag-motion to refer to the plenary? At na-carry yun. Kung may motion, tapos mapagpunta na i-refer na sa plenary, tapos na-hearing. Mas i-refer to the plenary.
Pero kunyari wala.
Ay, hindi. Deferred yun. Ano naman yung bypass na naman.
So si JB, sabi niya dapat
Sino si
JB ba? Si JB. Sabi niya dapat maging leader kung mga member ng CA na yung family may minor. Pagdating ko
Ano lang naman, kailangan mag-disclose. Diba? Ang nasa rules, maski sa mga hearings, i-disclose mo na meron ako nung nag-hearing yung GMA7. I-disclose ko meron akong 10,000 shares. Kasi nung nag-IPO, buti naalala ko, nakabili ako, magkano lang naman, 850 at that time, nung binili ko. Ngayon, may dividend nga pero liit.
So disclose
parang 5,000.
No need for the hearing?
No need. I-disclose na. Para kasi dito, ang i-judge ka ng mga constituents.
Wala nang hearing next week?
Pwedeng meron pa. Kasi March 15 yung last pero hindi pa naman siniti. So, hindi pa. May 15 days after publication.
Baka next
pagbalik na. Kasi kanina na-adapt. So, bukas din pa publish.
Na-defer si tapos sa Wednesday na.
Walang retroactive effect.
So hindi applicable.
So yung bypass, lahat, pagka na-adapt yung rules, considered na wala pang nababypass. Mag-apply yung 3 bypass rule, pagka na-adapt na yun.
Ibig sabihin next na. After
Next na, kasi 15 days eh.
Pag mga June na.
15 days after publication. Mag-take effect.
Thank you, sir.
Isa, sorry to disturb you. Sabi na ko ni Justice.
Ay, Justice po.